Hello, podcast listeners. You are now listening to the Coffee, Health, and Science podcast. I'm your host, Jordan River, and I want to thank you for tuning in again today. Before we get started, as always, I urge you to share the show. Please tell a friend about the Coffee, Health, and Science podcast. And, of course, check out puritycoffee.com, code CHS podcast for savings. Today, we are talking about coffee, yes, as we always do. But we're also focusing on a topic that ties in very well, a diet topic. A trend, very, very hot trend in health and fitness right now, intermittent fasting. This idea that maybe here in the West, we're eating too much. I mean, it's not so much about the volume, but the frequency. So that's what we're discussing here today. We're discussing it with your favorite, you know him and love him. Dr. Coffee is on the line. What's up, Dr. Coffee?
Hey, Jordansky. It's another day above ground living the dream, my friend.
That's right. That's right. I've got my coffee right here. I'm ready to dive in. Intermittent fasting, a very hot topic. I want to get your take on it, how effective it is, how to do it safely, right? Like maybe you're a slob like me and you need to get into it slow. Like, tell me everything I need to know about intermittent fasting.
Okay, so we keep getting calls to My Healthy Patient and My Healthy Employee, the two companies we have to educate people. And the phone's been ringing off the hook. Emails coming in since the new year started. People want to know what can they do to make themselves thinner and healthier.
Mm-hmm.
And to me, there's really one answer to that, and it's intermittent fasting.
Absolutely.
And especially intermittent fasting with good coffee. So we're gonna discuss that now.
Absolutely. Let's dive right in, man. Because that's what I've heard, you know. I feel like maybe in America, we were tricked into thinking that like, oh, just exercise. Like just exercise and go to the gym. And I think that it might be a more effective way for a lot of people to focus on the diet side. Well, both obviously, but get that intermittent fasting going. So let's dive right in.
Okay, so let's be really clear on the Hellshine rule, Dr. Coffee rule of law,
mm-hmm.
which is that weight loss occurs in the kitchen and keeping it off occurs in the gym.
That's a good way to look at it.
So everybody thinks they're going to exercise their way into thinness is deluded. It just hardly ever happens.
Sure.
But if you eat a good diet, lose the weight, and then you're in the gym, you're building muscle and your metabolism gets increased and become a much more efficient fat burner. And so that helps keep it off. So
sure.
One of the healthiest things you can do is called intermittent fasting. So the term intermittent means at periods of time. And so it's really important that you get the concepts down right. It's a cyclical diet where you fast for a specific period of time and then eat for a specific period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And there are different types of intermittent fasts. And so your window is what the word we use. Your window of fasting and eating can change based on which type of intermittent fast you have. Now, I want everybody to listen closely, but I do have all this written down in the booklet I prepared on intermittent fasting. And so if anybody doesn't keep up and take the notes and doesn't want to listen to this podcast again and again, though you should, you can email me at doc@myhealthypatient.com and ask for the intermittent fasting booklet, and I will send it to you.
Perfect. So go and get that resource just to keep it, folks. And then that way, we love these written resources that you provide along with these, Dr. Coffee. So thank you for that.
Yeah, you know, your listeners are really a unique group in the fact that they politely ask me for it. I send it to them, and then they send me a thank you note, which is really weird because nobody else ever sends a thank you note.
I love that.
Except the coffee listeners.
That is just wonderful. A thank you note, hopefully sans, well, you know, you get the thank you email. You know what I mean? That's better than you get the thank you note with that chocolate in it. It's going to break your intermittent fasting. That's what it's going to do.
So let's go over the rules of the eating window. The rules of the eating window is that you can eat while you're in that window. It's really important that you eat calories during this time. With intermittent fasting, your diet is a secondary consideration. So you can actually eat, as long as it's healthy, pretty much whatever you want during your eating window.
Sure.
Your fasting window is your fasting. You can't consume any food. You can drink water. You can drink coffee. You can drink tea. You can drink more water, but that's it. If you're a coffee drinker that likes milk and sugar in it, no.
Ooh.
You need to drink black coffee. Now, out of all the sweeteners, there are chemical sweeteners which are not healthy for you, in my opinion, like aspartame and erythritol,
Oh yeah.
which is a sugar.
There's a lot of papers on that too. I think you're not alone there. Yeah. So avoid those at all costs.
I mean, I'm not going to go out on a limb and say they'll kill you, but I just don't think they're in your best interest. What I recommend is that you learn to like stevia if you really have to have some sweetener. And here's how you do that. Every morning when you get up for a week, you warm up some water and you add a little bit of stevia to it. And you drink some stevia water. That will get you used to the unique taste. And then after doing that for 5 to 7 days, you can start adding stevia to things like coffee. But I do want to caution people that the mind doesn't really know the difference between stevia, erythritol, and sugar. It's sweet. It's recognized as sweet, and sweet still does things like triggering cravings for more sweet. And there are studies galore on PubMed where you type in what effect does no-calorie sweeteners have on cravings for sweets, and you'll see all these studies that say that it doesn't help you out.
Wow.
In the long run.
Yeah, that's definitely real, man. Like when you have that soda for 3 days, you're like jonesing for it. You have to break that addiction. So I think intermittent fasting is good, not just for all of the physiological reasons that you're going into about, the cells regenerating and just being able to reduce inflammation and all of this, weight loss, but it's also like a good practice in discipline and just kind of mastering food in a society where they're just pounding you with like double baconators and cheese fries, unlimited cheese fries. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think intermittent fasting is a great practice. In fact, I start mine tomorrow, my next round of it. There is a company that I work with called Prolon, Prolon, that makes a fasting mimicking diet. So you buy these foods from them and you have to follow their diet. But let's go over the basics. If somebody has a question about the Prolon therapy, they can always email me. But let's go over the basics.
Sure.
I use coffee and tea. Many of the intermittent fasters won't, but they don't have their brain locked into coffee and tea like I do.
Right.
So they say just water. I think using coffee and tea is a good way to go personally. If you are going to be fasting, so you could be more sensitive to caffeine. So if you're going to drink more than a cup or two of coffee while fasting, you probably would want to try some decaf. The goal is to clear your body out, but it's also to go for a caloric deficiency. So here's how intermittent fasting works. You're going to pick some different windows and you figure out which window works best for your body. There are some people who will have no problem fasting 20 hours a day.
Oh, geez.
And there are other people who do have a problem with it. One of the types of intermittent fasting is called lean gains, Leangains, and it's from a guy named Martin Burkham, very well known in the intermittent fasting community. It's really pretty straightforward. Men are recommended to fast for 16 hours, women for 14 hours, which leaves an 8-hour and 10-hour, respectively, eating window. It's really important that you're consistent with your eating window. So if you don't do that in the Lean Gains program, then your body gets confused and you don't really get the best results.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're going to fast until dinner time, if that's where your 16 hours ends, then you have to do that every day. You can't just say, okay, today I'll skip breakfast and tomorrow I'll skip dinner and fast through the night. It just doesn't work well.
Mm-hmm. You know, I don't want to derail us, but I do want to dig into that for just a second. I think that is another big part of it, the rhythms. I've really learned how important these rhythms are dealing with cluster headaches, like we've talked about on previous episodes. Dr. Coffee, I think that has to do with the gut microbiome. To get them on a rhythm, it's all tied into the circadian rhythms and kind of the state that your gut is in. And I think that it does exactly what you said. It confuses your gut microbiome when you're up late at night and then you sleep in and then you get no sleep and you're eating late and then a midnight snack. And I believe that it has something to do with that. But anyways, I don't want to get too far off topic.
You're right, but they're really kind of two different things. It's important to have your gut microbiome involved, and it's also important to have your circadian rhythm involved, especially for headache patients. I mean, we see these migraineurs who, have a day off and they'll sleep until 10 o'clock in the morning and they get up with a headache. And it's because they didn't keep their same ritual in their 24-hour clock. So
the rhythm is a big deal to our health, I think, in a lot of different ways. So
yeah.
So that is part. And for me, it's easy. Well, it's not easy. It's easiest for me to try to not eat after dinner and then delay my breakfast after I wake up. I hear that's what a lot of people do to kind of start. Is that a good way to do it?
Yeah, it is. That's one way to do it. I sort of follow the warrior diet from Ori McKellar. I can never pronounce his last name. Ori, if you're listening, call me and tell me how to pronounce your last name, will you? It's a little more severe than the lean gains. So in the warrior diet, you're fasting for 20 hours each day.
Jeez.
And you only eat a single meal each night.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So Ori believes that that's how our ancestors used to do that they'd be out all day killing brontosaurus, and when they get home, that's when they eat.
Makes sense. It does make sense. I'm a growing boy. I need my snackies.
Well, then you won't have a lot of success on intermittent fasting.
So you got the lean gains, you got the warrior diet. I mean, listen, there's only so many hours in a day, right? I mean, a lot of people are eating dang near from the moment they wake up to right before they go to bed, right?
Yeah.
So if you can slim it from there, maybe work your way up to one of these more comprehensive and intensive programs.
Yeah. So there's a program called Eat Stop. It's from Brad Pylon, and it's pretty simple, the rules. You fast for 24 hours, 2 to 3 times a week.
Oh.
And on your eating days, you can eat whatever you want.
So some people space it out through the day, other people space it out through the week. I would certainly, I think I have a higher metabolism. I would have a harder time doing that for sure. Probably be good though, because when I do these little mini fasts, you can feel the effects quickly, man. I mean, you talk about weight loss, which is a huge benefit. But you feel your inflammation go down, your aches and pains go away, your brain feels sharper. A lot of poker players are very conscious of their diet and their sleeping patterns and their fasting patterns to have mental clarity. It's pretty incredible.
Well, if you want the biggest bang for the buck for a short period of time, do a keto diet when you're eating on the intermittent fasting.
Mm-hmm.
So you fast and then you leave the fast by eating high protein, high quality fat.
That is right up my alley.
Yeah, stay away from carbohydrates. And unfortunately, we eat way too many carbs. And especially what's going to come out in a few years is how bad fructose and fruit sugar is for us. Everybody thinks it's good, but unfortunately, it's going to show up as being severely bad for people.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see what else we got. We got a 5-2 program, which is an intermittent fasting method. On the 5-2, you eat 5 days a week. And then on the other 2 days, you restrict your calorie intake to around 500 calories.
Okay.
So Mike Mosley called this the fast diet. We've got a 36-hour fasting diet, which is the toughest one, but it delivers great results.
Geez, I don't know if I could get away with that, man. That is challenging. Like I said, that's almost more of a spiritual practice or a discipline builder.
Well, it is. You finish a meal at 8 p.m. on your first day, and that's where your fasting window starts. So you're fasting till breakfast, and then you don't eat breakfast, so you're fasting again through the following day.
Right.
So you don't eat again until 8 a.m. breakfast the next morning, 36 hours later.
God, I bet you feel so good after. If you have chronic, inflammation, trouble sleeping. I realized how much better I was sleeping. When you get over the hunger part, when you actually get to sleep, you sleep a very restful sleep. Is that what the caloric deprivation is all about? We've had other people on the show talking about how the digesting process is a very costly and energy-intensive process. So when you stop that process, your body's kind of able to heal and regenerate and clear out cellular junk. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but that's my understanding.
So that's part of it. Ketosis is part of it.
Mm-hmm.
The formation of stem cells, and there are these cells in the body called telomeres, and you need them to lengthen to help fight against aging.
Sure, and disease. Yeah, coffee, one of the great repairers of telomeres.
Yes, which is why I include coffee. I'm glad you brought that up. That's one of the reasons I include coffee in the intermittent fasting, is because, like I said, I have my head into coffee. These other people don't. So they don't understand the effect of the antioxidants and the telomere changes that occur from drinking a good cup of coffee.
So this is about the best way you can get those telomeres to lengthen and stay strong and not let your genetic material fray, is my understanding. I've heard it put like the casing on the end of a shoelace. But this seems like a double dose with the coffee and the fasting. I've seen people say that you can have a little bit of cream with your coffee. You say black. I'm going with you, Dr. Coffee. You are the Dr. Coffee, so I'm going black next time I'm fasting. No milk. I usually use a little bit of milk, but I'll skip it.
So, yeah, so for fasting or intermittent fasting, you really don't want to take in cream with your coffee.
Done.
And, we never take into account A2 and lactose. So lactose is a milk sugar that most people, let's say some people, let's say half the people, let's say most people, can't break down.
Sure.
I mean, I don't know that lactose sugar in milk and casein in milk are good for most people. I don't know that most people can break them down.
True.
And then there's a new protein, A2, that I don't know that most people can break down. So now you're seeing on the shelves A2 milks. Have you seen that?
No.
Oh,
I'm going to keep an eye out, though. A2, it says it on the label?
yeah.
Oh, A2 milk. I see the D milk, the like vitamin D milk, not the A milk.
No, so really, this is something new to you, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think you had mentioned A2 before, but is this like a lactate version for this other enzyme or protein or whatever it is?
No. So again, there are two things that bother people. I mean, when we used to do all this food allergy testing, we would see casein or lactose all the time in allergies. So casein is the largest group of proteins in milk, mammal milk. It's about 80% of the total protein content. And there's different forms of casein in milk. One of the forms is called beta casein, which is the most common. And beta casein comes in different forms. There's an A1 beta casein and an A2 beta casein. So the two beta casein proteins are almost identical. They have about 200 amino acids in their protein block that are about the same. The difference between the A1 and the A2, I think, is somewhere in the 60th amino acid chain. It's different. So A1 has histidine as an amino acid. A2 has an amino acid called proline.
Okay.
So what they found is that milk protein is sensitive, and that's where most people's intolerance begins. So now you can go into any grocery store and go to the milk container aisle and look for A2 milk protein, I think it's called, where it removes A2.
Oh, okay. So it is like the lactate then, for those who can't tolerate it.
Yeah, but it's not lactose.
Right.
It's not
yeah, I see. It's the lactate of A2 as well. Okay, I get it. Yeah, totally.
Yes.
Yeah, see, that's not on a lot of people's radars. Like everybody says lactose intolerant, but see, I'm just not one of those people. I must be in the minority or the slight minority where milk does me okay, but who knows? Who knows, man? Maybe I should skip it at least for the days that I'm intermittent fasting, which, by the way, I don't do enough, right? Late night snacks. Midnight snacks are so delicious, Dr. Steve. But if you can avoid them, it'll improve your health.
Yes, if you can avoid them, they're good. So any of the listeners that want to go on a fasting program with Dr. Coffee, we will set up a challenge for you. Just send an email to doc@myhealthypatient.com and say you want to go on a fast, intermittent fast, and we will set up a challenge for you. The winner can win another day above ground, living the dream.
But now a little bit healthier.
Yes, and they'll be healthier.
Exactly. Living the dream, a few pounds shy of what they were before they started intermittent fasting. That's the idea. Thank you, man. That's wonderful. doc@myhealthypatient.com. And that's all, folks. Make sure to follow us. Subscribe to this podcast. Unless you had anything else here, Dr. Coffee, before we wrap it up?
No, I think that's about it. I think most people need to lose weight. Most people need to get healthier. If you don't get healthy before you get sick, then you're missing an opportunity. You're going to wait till you're sick. That doesn't work. So get healthy. The woman saw the man on the street corner with a sign, haven't eaten. She walks up to him and goes, "What's going on?" He goes, "I've lost 40 pounds. I haven't eaten." She goes, "I wish I had your willpower."
Ain't that the truth?
So there you have it. I'll look forward to speaking to you and the group again.
Thank you, Dr. Coffee. We appreciate your time every time. And thank you, listeners. Same goes to you. We'll see you next time. This is Dr. Coffee and Jordan Rivers signing off, saying have an extraordinary day. And we'll catch you on the next CHSP. Bye-bye, everyone. day.